Hey, this is Jeremy, and over there, that's
Zach.
and welcome back to what episode would this be, Zach?
Episode number 5.
Golly, man, we're
Get big.
we're stacking them up, cranking them out.
5, 4 in the can. Get big.
Yeah. That's awesome. I was just checking my Instagram here. I'm really new to that. I barely know how to. I can like a picture. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to repost, and I don't know how to do video, which is not a big deal. I don't really care, but
Yeah. I mean, social media. I have such a love-hate relationship with that. Like I love taking pictures of stuff that I like, but I don't think anyone else likes to see it. Like pictures of my car.
The only reason I used to have an Instagram a long time ago, and I got off of it for different reasons, mainly because I spend too much time on social media, and I didn't want to, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
I've always done Twitter for quite a while, and I like it because I like news, and I can read news.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's fascinating how that's changed the whole world of news. You can be as a reporter, sitting in a press conference and instantly tweet out the story. You don't have to wait to get back to the office to put it out on the wire or whatever.
Yeah, well, not only that, the public, like, say there's a situation unfolding, an earthquake, a shooter, or whatever it might be. There will be a group of people that are there or near there that can shoot out information as things are happening. You can real-time follow news stories where it used to be you'd have to have a reporter gather information and then spread it out to everyone or post it through a newspaper. Back in the day, it was a newspaper, and they'd have an AM newspaper and a PM newspaper.
I know. I can't say I miss those days because I never experienced them. I mean, obviously, newspaper, and I used to get the newspaper all the time. But man, the old man in me, the old soul that I am, would love to just wake up every day and get my newspaper going. And then same in the afternoon. Well, we finished with supper. Let's sit down and read.
Better see what's going on in the old PM newspaper.
So,
there's something to be said about that. I broke my phone at one point this year, and I ordered a new screen, and there was a few things wrong with it. I ordered online. I was going to fix it myself. But it took 2 weeks for the new stuff to come in. So for those 2 weeks, I didn't have my phone, my smartphone. Actually, I didn't have any phone. And the first day, I was just jittery. Like, it was like I was an addict that didn't have his drugs. Yeah. And I would reach for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd reach for my pocket. And I didn't have anything in my pocket. But let me tell you this. After the first 24 hours or so, I felt so good and relaxed and calm, and just it was like I was on a high because I wasn't on my smartphone. I wasn't addicted to it.
Up until like 2 months ago, at the most, if not even that long, my wife did not have a smartphone. She always had a flip phone, and that was her reason. She said, I don't want to get to a point to where I'm so dependent. Mm-hmm. She calls my phone my lovey. So I always gotta have it.
Once you get it, you're stuck.
That's right. And so the reason she got one was because this happened 4 or 5 times, if not more than that. She would call me not knowing where she was, like the Garmin on the car. If she was going somewhere,
the Garmin's not always up to date or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so fortunately, all those times I was able to get on a computer and look at the map and figure out where she was going. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, you got to do something different. You've got to get a smartphone. And so she finally did. But back to social media, like it's interesting that people want to, number one, only communicate that way. I kind of find that to be the case. And with Instagram, they just post random pictures that really otherwise, why? I don't want to know what you're eating.
What you ate. Yeah. It's 1,000 pictures of your kid.
Yeah.
Doing different stuff.
Yeah. I mean, put something on there if they're doing something cool. I mean, yeah, I get that. But, so I'll tell you the reason I got it. So with the music and drum stuff, it's such a big part of endorsements,
Yeah.
And so some of the companies that I work with and that I have talked with about beginning a professional relationship with, that's part of the thing is you got to have a good social media presence. Well,
In the days,
and I'm not that kind of guy, really. I'm not into, I mean, I like to read the news in Twitter, and I post things. I'm not going to say I don't, but with Instagram, I find myself, I have this urge to post something, even though I don't want to. Like I need to, because that's what you do apparently. But so I'm making a conscious effort to not post stuff that's
like mundane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to. I'll take 1,000 pictures of my car and post it. And no one cares.
Yeah.
Like
there's gonna be, we've been off tour since I opened this Instagram up, which has been 2 weeks. So we go back on the road this coming weekend, and there'll be pictures of the drums and whatever.
Yeah,
because partly that's what I'm supposed to. But it's like nobody.
Here's the thing.
Really
Here's the thing.
That?
So we say that, but there are people that are interested in cars and drums. And
because I follow people,
but you don't know them. Like
yeah.
Like people will like your stuff that.
But I think there's a difference here. You'll post pictures of something that you find interesting, and you want to share it, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But I think social media has developed a culture to where people have to feel, what's the word I'm looking for?
They're
vindicated in a way, or
well, they show their best self, but it's not really them. It's not their real life. On your social media, you put out like, today I went to the Grand Canyon.
They seek approval is what I'm trying to say. Like I got to post this. And then depending on how many likes I get dictates the kind of day I'm going to have.
Oh,
I feel like that's how people do it.
It's like they've found it releases dopamine just like any kind of drug. When you get a little red, check mark or whatever social media thing it might be, it's a little reward and it makes your dopamine go ping.
I guess because in your mind it makes you more famous. You're verified in front of your
verified
peers.
is a whole.
Well, I know it is. And that's a whole other thing, and that's not
a whole other topic.
That's not what I mean by it. What I do mean by it is saying if I post this, and all these people like it, that makes me that much cooler. If I post something and only 4 people like it, I'm not so cool.
You don't feel great. Well,
I don't feel good.
There's actually a South Park episode about that, about like having one friend and then getting too into the fact that somebody liked your post. Another thing that happens with people on social media is everyone's putting out this caricature of their life. Like in your real life, you wake up, you make some coffee and struggle on to work or whatever, and you sit at your desk or whatever you might do for work. And there's a lot of, I could compare it to being a touring musician on the road.
Okay.
Where you play a show and it's this big extravaganza and loud and lights and smoke.
Everybody thinks it's awesome.
And everyone thinks it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what they see. That's the Instagram picture. But then you go back to real life and it's get on this plane, wake up at 4 o'clock, sit in the bus for hours.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And they find that people are becoming more depressed because they see everyone else's social media and it looks like everyone else is having this awesome time and an awesome life, but that's just because they're curating their life to show that.
There's a sermon in that, brother.
I might need a new career.
Well, truthfully though, you're exactly right, and that's what's sad about today's society for the most part is everybody, used to you put your mask on and you go out in public.
Yeah.
And the only people that saw it were the people you actually interacted with. You only had to fake your way through life in front of those people. Now, not to say that was easy, but that was the gist of your audience.
Right.
And now with social media, you can make that so much better. It's bigger, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think one thing that comes to mind that's kind of funny, I will not name names, but we've had certain friends we mutually know that may be, not that Instagram and Twitter was a thing back then really, although it wasn't that long ago, but that person would have personality A.
Yeah.
School per se.
Sure.
And then around this group of friends, he was this way.
Yeah.
And then around another group, he was.
There's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah. And so I think if you're doing social media, that makes it that much harder, because if group A thinks you're this way, you know, you like to mud ride or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other group, you're not into that. You're very kind of cultured in a way, or
sure,
in a sense.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. So what do you post if you're that guy? And you've got there's 4 versions, and everybody's watching.
You gotta have multiple accounts.
Well, that's
the thing with That's the thing with social media is you only do it well. The people that do it the best are people that have this laser focused caricature of their life or their interests.
Yeah, that's
the social media accounts that do the best are, maybe it's a guy who has some cars, and so everything's about his cars, his modifications to his cars. I went here in my car. Here's a beautiful picture of it. And people that are into cars say, "Oh, I like cars. I like this car guy, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm gonna follow that."
Yeah.
That's his persona online. But his life is obviously no one's that, can't be distilled down that much in real life. The same thing goes with anything else. The people that do social media the best are just on one thing, and they're just giving that out, and they're looking for that.
That's true.
Now, somebody like us, I'm not good at social media,
me neither.
And I post a picture of my car, but then I post a picture of a cat. Or,
or
whatever.
Exactly. Well, just like me, it's like, okay, I'll post pictures of drums, and then I might go out and check on my chickens and think,
post a picture of your
post
chicken.
A cool chicken of the picture of the chicken coop. And that's
for whatever
silly.
reason
Makes no sense.
that doesn't link up with people as much.
But you know what? I don't care.
No, we need to get going back to the phone. I want to get rid of all that. If I could, right now, I have to have a real good GPS for work, and I have to have the ability to look up information on the fly, like if I'm out, because I'm trying to find a house or whatever. But man, if I didn't have to do that, I would get a flip phone in a heartbeat.
Well, I think that the beauty in a smartphone is the ability to have all these things at your fingertips. You obviously have a computer in your pocket. And as we're talking about social media and stuff, one thing that I find is pretty wild is how the world, and I mean, I'm in this boat too, waiting on things is becoming a thing of the past.
I can't do it anymore.
I can't do it. Used to, I order something through the catalog, Sears catalog, or even when Amazon started, and you'd wait a week or more. And that was not uncommon.
Yeah.
And now with Amazon, I do Amazon Prime, so I got
2 days.
Yeah. And now with Amazon, what do they call it? Where they can do it right then, the same day.
Yeah.
In some places. And I fully expect within a few years the drones will bring stuff to your house. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And so like with Sam, he in his world, he thinks when we order something, it has to come the next day or right then. And a while back, I tried to tell him,
that's the world he's grown up in.
Yeah, because let's say you want to watch a video. Let me know you want to watch a movie. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, back in our day, I remember my parents taking me to the movie store all the time to rent a movie.
There's a lost art in going to the movie store.
Dude, it's so awesome looking at all the movies.
Yeah,
there is one still in Murfreesboro. I'll touch on here in a second, but back in the day, you'd get first you had to wait until they could take you.
Mm-hmm.
And you drive down there and you walk in. There's all these movies, and you just start browsing and perusing, and you look at them.
Yeah, there's something to be said about all that.
That's right. But it was at the absolute best, a couple hours before you could watch the movie you want to watch.
Sure.
Now,
or maybe they wouldn't have it.
Even worse.
Forrest Gump. They'd have a whole wall of Forrest Gump covers.
That's right.
And you look behind them, and there'd be nothing behind them.
Yep. And so you had to wait the next day or a few days later. Get your name on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
You just turn the TV on and press a few buttons on your remote, and Netflix shows up, and
it's right there.
It's right there.
And it's not just, what's on Netflix instant, but if there's any movie at all you want to see, $3.
Oh, yeah.
Hit the
get
button.
It right there. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It just comes.
Amazon. Like, I use Amazon Prime, like I said.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's movies that I rarely do we do it, but every now and then I'll rent a movie off there. Number one, it's convenient. I ain't got to get up and go nowhere.
You don't even have to burn the gas.
No, you don't have to do it at all.
And it happens right then.
And the same, the same with music. We talk about
Spotify.
We could talk about Spotify for days, but
yeah.
But I can remember going to the store, waiting to buy the CD when something come out.
I remember getting the Best Buy circular Sunday, and I'd be open it up, and I want this one and this one. I mean, not that I would get all the ones, but I would go through and I'd say, man, I wish I could have this CD and this CD and this CD.
Or when I would be at the mall, at the sound shop or whatever, that's what they called it when I was a kid.
Okay.
And it'd be just piles of CDs and music and you'd cruise through there. Tapes. Oh yeah. And
big walls of tapes.
And if you didn't have enough money, you'd have to wait and come back later.
Yeah.
If you couldn't trick your parents into buying it. But the whole thing was, in order to hear that record or CD, you had to wait until you could buy it. Now, that might be that day. It might be later. And so you had to at least go to the store. And if you had the money, you bought it. Then you come home. You couldn't wait to put it in the car.
Yeah.
And you'd get at least I would. I'm sure you the same way. Get the CD booklet out, look and see, all who played on it, the pictures, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes you'd be left with a dud. Like, there might be a song that you want.
And that was the fun part.
Yeah. This song, I know I like this song. I'm going to get that CD.
Yeah.
And then you put it in and it's like, ooh, the rest of this ain't good.
Yeah.
I went to Best Buy. This had to be 96 or so. I saw the movie Independence Day. Saw the movie Independence Day. And in Independence Day, in one of the first scenes, there's that song, "It's the End of the World as We Know It." That's played by REM. Didn't know it at the time. And I wanted that song. That song was, it was a jam. So I had my mom take me to the old Best Buy, go in, Independence Day soundtrack. Boom, got her, right? So we come back to the car, put that mug in, and strings start, and the orchestra starts
playing.
You
bought the soundtrack.
And it lasts for like an hour. I'm looking for this song. It ain't anywhere. Bought the damn soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, I remember, because I'm super country growing up, there was a movie called The Cowboy Way, which had, what's his name? What's the guy's name that was in True Detective and Kingpin and Woody
Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, one of the best actors ever in my book. Anyway, he was in this movie called Cowboy. It was about these two super country Texas dudes.
Yeah.
And somebody, I don't even remember. I think somebody stole something from them, and they went to the big city. That's what it was.
Okay.
Technically
Yeah. Fish out of water store.
Yeah. But it had the old Willie Nelson song. Or Waylon Jennings song, "Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, good one.
And also at the same time, I had started playing drums, and I wanted that song, not to necessarily play drums to, but I also wanted the Ventures' famous "Wipeout." Right. So I remember my grandma took me to this music store that had CDs, and I can remember them getting this paper catalog out. Because I didn't have them in stock, and ordering those two CDs.
Wow.
To ship to the store, and then we'd go pick them up a few days later.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that's unheard of now,
Yeah, I mean, that's so...
Because now that's what we're getting at. You make one click on Spotify, and then the only work you have to do is type in the name of what you're looking for, and there it is.
And if you don't know what it is, like me trying to figure out what that song was by REM, is go to my Google. It's in my pocket.
Yeah.
Go to my Google in my pocket. Bop, bop, bop. What song is "It's the End of the World as We Know It"? And then first, couple hits that come back. Oh, that's REM, and it was on whatever album it was on.
Yeah.
And then you just go to your Spotify, which is in my pocket as well. And there it is. You listen to it. But I will say this. One of my favorite things to do these days is to sit late at night and listen to random Spotify stuff and just start vibing on old tunes from the 80s and 90s.
Well, that's the beauty in it. Is like with anything, there's a good and there's a bad, and so that is the good for Spotify. And I'm really talking more from an artist, music maker standpoint, because you can get your music heard with people that otherwise would never hear it. You know?
Right. But then we're getting into how Spotify has changed the industry and how all that works. There's so much less money that goes to the people that make the music.
You know, the thing that comes to mind that I think is really bad, that I would love to ask some of the people who, now I use Spotify periodically, but I don't pay for it personally, because
you use
it's
the free.
Well, I use the free on my laptop, but I only listen to a few things. But if I like something, I buy it. Yeah, and that's just my own.
Sure.
I'm just weird about it.
Sure, no, I mean that's. But a lot of people do that.
But for kids that have never bought music and they feel somewhat entitled because it's always been this way for them, I want to say, you know, take your favorite artist. Like you and I grew up listening to different stuff, but once we got into music, we both liked Dave Matthews Band.
That's right.
And they were my heroes growing up. My friend Kevin and I. That's all we studied in high school.
Oh, like it was.
Yeah.
Like
now,
it was the test.
It's like, would you just go up and take a $10 bill out of Dave's pocket? Would you steal from him? Because I feel like
maybe it was like dangling out.
well, that's kind of how I feel. Is like, if you really like that man's music or anybody's music for that matter, you should pay him what it's worth.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be able to pay $10 a month and get an unlimited amount of music.
Right.
And then so when a new record comes out, you just wait for it. Well, it's gonna,
but that's the old ways, old
I know, man. And that's fine. And call me old fashioned because I know that I am. But it's like, I just think in the future, what is going to, of course, it never crossed my mind early on when I was learning to play music and wanting to get in bands and stuff. It never crossed my mind that I would one day make money, let alone make a living at it. However, if you can't make any money doing music, why would you do it to a point to get it out? Just do it for fun and go work a regular job.
There is, you do get satisfaction of creating. There's something about creating that I think people like us need. You know what I mean? There's
yeah, but just by simply creating now you got to create a way to pay your bills.
Well, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying there is a reward in the creation of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideally you would get paid for that. Yeah, and Spotify, and not just Spotify, MP3s, the internet, the ease of recording. There's so many more people that have the ability to create music. And there's so much less money in the pool to be made. It's just really hindered the industry in some aspects. So for the creators.
I heard about this story the other day, and I haven't read it, but I just clicked on it here.
All right.
This was posted in December of 2014, so it's a couple years old. So some things may have changed, but I can guarantee you they ain't changed a lot. Pharrell Williams had the song Happy.
Yeah.
This here on Business Insider said it was played 43 million times, and he got $2,700.
That's wrong.
$2,700. I mean, that's not even enough to pay half a month's bills.
That won't pay for a day in the studio.
No, not at all.
Trying to record that track.
Not at all.
It won't pay for a day in the studio.
No.
Now, obviously, that's through Spotify, probably. 43 million plays. Yeah. Well, that just goes to show you how screwed up Spotify's pay structure is.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Is like, okay, if you're going to have access to songs like that, the artists need to be getting their piece.
Yeah, the people that created the track. Well, that's the thing. That the big thing nowadays is not just with music, but with movies and with car service, and everything is going to these companies that take an asset that somebody has, or a lot of people have, and they piggyback off of it. They make a way to use that. Take Uber, for example. They don't own any cars, but they make money selling rides. Spotify doesn't own any music, but they make money selling music. Netflix doesn't. Well, they're creating programs now, but their model is based on not owning any movies in the beginning. They just make money slinging them.
Yeah.
And that's where everything's going.
No, you're exactly right. And you and I've had this discussion in the past. The problem I have with Spotify is it's kind of centered around the problem I have with record labels is since record labels don't make any money anymore on making albums.
Yeah.
They utilize these, they push these platforms for streaming music because they hope that, I guess, in turn that will turn into merch sales and ticket sales because now they get a bigger piece of the pie from artists.
The 360 deal.
That's right. I think that's more of a situation where if you can't contribute in a way to where you get money back directly from your contribution, you should go away.
So you're talking about the record label should go away because...
Yeah, I feel like they're part of the problem. Like in today's world, you can get your music out on your own.
Right.
You don't need a huge loan from a record label.
Right.
And now I understand,
there's
for production costs and stuff
there's
like
infrastructure things that a record label has. They've got their feelers in with this radio network or TV network or whatever, and that helps. But you can do it on your own.
You absolutely can. And I also think with radio, that's going to be going by the wayside sooner rather than later. As far as
the record label industry?
Yeah, like commercial radio.
Okay.
Because that tie is going to go away because it's not going to be as lucrative. At least what little I know about the business, it's not going to be as lucrative anymore to put music on the radio because as time goes on, people stream music, they stream digital, radio stations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
everything's getting a lot more specialized as far as what people listen to.
Well,
because they have the ability to focus in on what they like.
Think back to what you said earlier when we were talking about old music or the way things were when we were growing up as far as listening to music. If you were listening to the pop station and like I can remember when Goo Goo Dolls came out. It was the first rock and roll show I'd ever seen. I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
And
Slide.
They were touring on that album, and Slide was the song.
Yeah.
Well, the local station that played it, they'd play it. You jam on it. Then you had to wait.
You had to wait until they played it again.
Like
but
hours again.
They would play it again.
They would.
They play that.
Would. Now, you don't have to wait. You don't even have to listen to the radio station because you don't want to hear the other junk.
No, I get out of my pocket. I got my Spotify, say Goo Goo Dolls, Slide.
Yeah. So I guess that's where I think it's going to go. So that's another avenue that the labels are going to. Well, the labels. It's really just publishing companies that'll lose out on that.
Yeah. Well, it's it's probably a way for people to discover new music though. Like you're getting a tray full of all the new songs that labels want to sling when you listen to regular terrestrial radio, which is not the way that I listen to music at all. Like
me neither.
I never listen to.
But I think that's partly because we are in the music business in a sense, and so it kind of ruins. We see behind the curtain too much. That's what it's like. I don't want to listen to Top 40 because I don't want to hear the junk that's being crammed down everybody's throats.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Top 40, isn't it funny? I don't know if you've noticed this. And I guess it's always been this way, or at least for a long time. But somebody figures out a sound that works. Recently, Justin Bieber, I say recently, this is probably a year or two ago, Justin Bieber came out with a song with a sound called Island House, which is the like it's got that triplet feel.
Yeah.
Every song, you go on Spotify, Top 40, Top 100, Pop. If you listen, every single song starts out with that feel, that sound. It's unbelievable that how people latch on to something like that. And then they can, like the consumer base consumes it. Like, don't you realize you're listening to the same song made 100 times, 100 different ways.
No,
it's weird.
So, and I've had this conversation with Frank, the guy that I work with Frank Foster, is because he's got a new little boy that was born back in the end of last year. Which is, as our kids get older, how do you teach them about really awesome music? Because if, at least in theory, if only what they hear is on the radio, like, is that dumbing them down? Because, like you say, everything is, for the most part, the same?
Here's the thing. It's been happening since music, radio, like popular music was a thing. Like back when the Beatles came out, everyone sounded like the Beatles. But what happens is, over the course of time, the cream rises to the top, and that's what everyone remembers. Remember the Beatles, remember the Stones, remember Led Zeppelin. Think about a closer example would be in the 90s, Nickelback, Creed, Nickelback.
Yeah.
All these other bands, Lifehouse, there was 100 of them, and they all had that growly singer. Oh, this is how you remind me.
Yeah.
That was the sound, and same thing happened when Nirvana came out. So it's not any different than what's been happening for years. It's just that you tend to forget about all the ones that fall to the wayside. And you remember the Beatles, the Stones, the cream that rise to the top.
Yeah. Well, I guess this could kind of be the same thing. I was listening to it was actually another podcast. This musician guy was talking, and he was quoting something that I think it was Victor Wooten said, and a lot of
famous
people
bass player.
Yeah, a lot of people may not be
Bela
familiar
Fleck
with him.
and the Flecktones.
Yeah, but you can look him up. He's extremely nasty. But anyway, he said something to the effect of, and talking about music and like playing with better musicians and listening to different kinds of music. He said, imagine when you're a baby, if you only talk to other babies. Like you'd be 20 before you could make a sentence.
That would be a horrible experiment, but a really interesting experiment.
Well, it would. Yeah. But what he's saying is, in order for, like we got Sam and he couldn't speak any English. The way he learned it was talking with us.
Yeah.
The way you become a better musician, by playing with people that are better than you and listening to different stuff.
That's
Imagine
true.
how, I guess, weird it would be if you only listened to, let's just take country, for example. If you only listened to country music on the radio, not digging around through other cool stuff, you only listen to this on the radio.
Just what you were fed.
And you wanted to play an instrument, and that was the only influence you had.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think you'd be in a really bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, your style would be a little weird, I guess. Yeah, there's no way of doing that though. Like soon as you start playing with anybody, we're gonna cover. But I don't. But I guess we're gonna cover Fishing in the Dark, or we're gonna cover.
You're right, but
Dixie Land of Light.
In context with this conversation, though,
yeah,
I mean if you
were stuck in a room and you had a guitar and a radio, and you had to figure out how to play guitar. I don't know. It would be you would have a weird style, but I don't know how horrible you'd be because there's stuff on the radio, the stuff that's put out on the radio. There's a lot of craft that goes into that, even if you don't like it or if it's poppy or whatever. There's a hell of a lot of work and craft that it takes to make a crappy pop record.
Well, you're right, and I'm not advocating for Rush to be back on the radio because I'm not really a big Rush fan. But what I'm trying to say here is this. Bands like them and other bands and artists that I feel like are, in my opinion, really more cutting edge and make larger steps between records and time.
Yeah.
Would never get the chance today to be on the radio because everything, while it may be cutting edge and a little different, it all has to sound the same to an extent.
It does.
At least I feel that way.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's what I'm trying to say overall is like, back in the old days in the 70s.
You'd miss these bigger steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You'd be
that's what I mean by dumbing it down.
Your style or your range would grow slower because you aren't experiencing some of the bigger steps or the things that go in different directions. Yeah. You'd be stuck in I could see that. I I think I've witnessed that as a musician growing up. We were into Dave Matthews Band, which has they use a lot of different styles. They combine a lot of things and, other things, classic rock and all these things. But I would often play with or be involved with guys that were metalheads. And the thing I found about a lot of those kind of people, at least at that age, like high school, is that was all they knew. Like,
no, you're exactly right.
I simply know metal.
No, you're exactly right.
And that's all they can do.
Yeah.
And so, looking at it, I agree with you. Somebody that was stuck with the radio and that's all they knew.
Yeah.
They would be stuck with the ability to play that type of music and those type of rhythms.
It'd be really weird.
Yeah.
Well, we better wrap this one up. We've been going for a little while. I don't know if we got anywhere with it, but we had an interesting conversation.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
So we hope we'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, go to the website, ain'tnohobby.com, buy something. We got bills to pay. And,
that's right. I got bills.
Yeah.
I got to pay.
So anyhow, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.